And we should be live. I think we're live.
It says we're live.
Is there anyone out there?
Anybody want to know about the winter?
Anyone? Yeah. Any Tesla fans in the hood? Maybe not. This could be. Oh, looks like we got 8 people there. Okay. People are joining. This is good.
Yeah.
We're just going to give a minute for people to join, and we're just going to chat here for a moment. Can I just say that it's ironic? Sorry, go ahead, Dax.
I think.
Just a smile.
No, I think you were going to say the same thing I was going to say. So it's your show. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. I was going to say it's ironic that we're doing a show about winter, right? And here in the greater Toronto area where the 3 of us live, today was 20 degrees Celsius or 68 degrees Fahrenheit, which is very unusual for November up here in the great not so white north. So, but you know what the saying, right? You've all heard it. Winter is coming, right?
Yeah, I heard there's a big snowstorm coming next weekend. So, yeah.
Oh, that's very exciting, actually.
You know, you're absolutely right. Because normally I would never look forward to snow, but with the winter tires on and the new car, yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Like and you only ever say this at the beginning of winter. I'm looking forward to a snowstorm, and then by March, you're like, ah.
March. Ask me in January.
Yeah, totally. All right. So, what the heck? We're just going to get going. And if anyone can let me know in the comments that the audio is okay, I'd really appreciate it. And we'll just do the intros. I'm Paul, Tesla Canuck. Many of you might know me from my channel. And if you watch my videos, you're probably no stranger to TeslaKev. TeslaKev he's the guy that I go to when I have questions about Tesla. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. So TeslaKev, and then we got DaxM of Tesla Talks, who is no stranger to this show either. So thank you both for joining. Really appreciate it.
The famous Dax.
All right. Well, we got a question right out of the gate. Do you want just want to go into it, or because I do have an agenda, but I like to do what the people want to do. So let's go for it. Okay, what's the range hit of the Model Y long range in winter? How's the battery degradation? Year on total range, better to lease or buy? Wow. Okay, so this one's a really juicy one to kick us off with. Just one of you guys want to start?
I'll take the battery degradation one if you want.
Okay.
Go ahead. So degradation, that's a very complex question. And there's not a real simple answer for you. Basically, how you treat the battery is as much a factor as not. Tesla has an extremely good battery management system, and I think I've had this is my 4th Tesla. I've never seen, even with 130,000 kilometers in 4 years on the one that I use the most, I never had more than 77% degradation on the pack. So if you use it the way it's supposed to be, meaning you charge to 100 only when you go on long trips, charge to 90% or less for your day-to-day, you know what, you're not going to see a huge amount of degradation, and the stats back it up. I mean, there's lots and lots of published out there. Now that Tesla's been out there for over a decade, lots of degradation data published, and I think it's fairly safe to say, and obviously this is controversial, but Tesla probably has the best battery management system out there at this time. So that's
okay. That's cool. Why don't I do the winter one, the range hit? So I think so. Vince and Teresa there. That's probably about right, but there's a lot of variables. So let's talk about the variables first that are going to affect your range in the wintertime. The first one obviously is how cold is it, right? How much wind is there? So the wind resistance. those are probably, you know, whether or not you've preconditioned your vehicle before leaving, right? So these are probably the biggest factors that come into it. Wind you can't control, right? Speed, I think, is the big one, right? And that's like whether it's winter or summer, the faster you go, the more range you're going to deplete, right? However, I think if I was going to just have a broad stroke, I would say at -10 Celsius, I have no idea what that is in Fahrenheit. Sorry. Is anyone 19? Something like that.
Yeah,
something like that. At that temperature, I would say 30% is about accurate, right? Given average, let's say, wind. You know, you've preconditioned your car before leaving, and we're going to talk about preconditioning. So I don't want to get into too deep in that one just yet, because it is a topic that we're going to have a big section on. So I think, yeah, and that's what my experience has been anyways. Dax, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I echo what you guys are saying regarding the range hit and the degradation. Yeah, you guys hit the nail on the head. But I didn't want to touch on the precondition because I know you said you want to have a whole segment on that later in the show. So yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things is preconditioning. But if you want me to touch on the leasing part of the question about Ibrahim there, yeah, you know what? I've done both. With Tesla, with both my Teslas, I've always financed or purchased a car. But for my first EV, my first, I guess, weighing into the EV world, I did lease it. And what I found, like, you know what, it's one of the things. It's a personal choice. If you feel like your only way to get into a Tesla or get into an EV is a lease, then by all means do the lease. But what I found and what I tell people, if you can stretch it a little bit, and you know how we talk about this Tesla stretch, if we can stretch it a little bit when it comes to the difference between leasing and financing, I would always say finance, because what I found at the very beginning when I first leased my car, I leased it and I got the most mileage I could. You know how you can buy mileage other than the standard 20,000 kilometers per year. I think I got 24. So I had close to 72,000 kilometers in a 3-year lease. And let me tell you, by year 2, I was almost at that max. So I found myself having to drive less. And trust me, in an electric car, when you enjoy driving it so much and you tend to save money, the more you drive, the more you save money. To actually have to drive the car less so you don't go over the mileage is too restrictive. So unless you don't drive a lot and you know this for a fact, I would say leasing may not be for everyone. And I would seriously look to see if you can get into a finance. And I don't know, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, with the new or with Teslas, is it still the same when you lease a vehicle that you actually don't own it? You have to give it back to Tesla, or have they stopped doing that?
No,
I'm not sure.
No, a lease is a lease, man. It doesn't. You don't own it, so.
Yeah. No. But I remember at one point Tesla was buying. I don't know if it was just down in the States, but after the 3-year lease, they didn't even give you an option to buy it out or buy it back. It was you had to give it back to them.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard about that in a long time. But my advice is always to buy if you can, especially with a Tesla, because the longer you own it, the better your ROI is going to be. Right. If you look at things like gas avoidance, maintenance avoidance, you know, all the things that are benefits of an EV. And if you're going to keep it, I'd say greater than 5 years. To me, it makes more sense to buy if you can. Okay.
Not to just one last point on that. You got to remember to the used car market, right, guys? The used car market is just out of this world right now. And so you don't know when the 4680s are coming anyways, right? So there's a big unknown around battery tech. So, you know, I personally wouldn't lease waiting on it, because you're probably going to get a really, really sweet deal, far better than a lease when you sell your used car or trade it in it either way, right? So
yeah. And you know, that actually touches on another topic just very quickly, is that if you wait for a Tesla feature, you could be waiting forever, because the way Elon does it, there's no such thing as a model year. Right. So even in the middle of the model year, the beginning of the model year, like, you know, something can change or not change. Right. So if you're waiting for something specific, like the 4680, 4860, I always get those backwards. If you're waiting for that, who knows when it's going to come. Right.
Yeah. So, don't wait on the 46.
Yeah. Let's talk about winter. Okay. the next winter question here. Does preconditioning option on the app precondition the battery as well? I believe the answer is yes. I'm getting concurrence from my co-hosts. Okay.
Yep, definitely.
Model Y winter tire dilemma. I can't even pronounce that.
Hackapelides. Hackapelides.
Yeah, Nokian Hackapelides. I know them well. Yeah, I'm gonna jump on this one, guys, because
yeah, please. You're the
spend a lot of time studying tires. Let me add to your dilemma. There's a new tire.
I'm supposed to do that on my channel.
It's not a new tire, but it's fairly new to the scene. The Continental Viking 7s. I have to tell you guys, I have not come across a quieter winter tire. I haven't been able to test it this winter yet, but man, it's quiet. I've not seen anything like this tire. And for the money, I'm assuming it's going to be as good as anything. I have to still test it this winter, but man, I'm super impressed with the tire so far. And for the price, I mean, honestly, I just don't see a better value on the market right now than the Continental Viking 7. So
I'd like to concur with that. I also opted for the Contact 7s, the Viking Contact 7s this year, and I could not believe how quiet they are. Like, that to me is just amazing. And if I mean, I had the Sato Zeros for the longest time, right? The ones that Tesla sells on its online store, and they were okay, right? At best. I don't think that they were great. I think they're more of a performance winter tire, which, up here in the Great White North, you need like real winter tires. So I'm super excited about the first snowfall, and we can report back to everyone how it went.
Well, I was gonna say, like, if I can confuse HD Oakville anymore,
yes,
Well, first of all, let me ask you: you guys, these tires you guys are talking about, are they foam inserted? Do they have foam inside? And they're still that quiet, eh? That's good.
Twice as quiet as any tire I've used on my Teslas, including the stock and the Tesla ones.
Wow, it's good to know. Well, I've used, on my Model 3 I had for the last 3 winters, I used the Michelin X-Ice, and I can tell you they're great tires. Now, I wish this question came up, I'd say in another 3 months from now. And if it does, ask me again, because this year I switched. I was going to go with the X-Ice because I tried tested and trued, but I decided to go with the Hackapelides this year, the R3s.
Oh,
so
wow.
I've got them on now. So ask me in 3 months. I can give you a comparison, like, between the two of them.
Yes.
Dax,
so basically what Dax,
can I just ask a quick question, Dax? Price-wise, I found the Michelin's always a bit pricey compared to other tires. How did the price break down between the X-Ice and the Hackapelides?
They are up there. I'm not gonna lie, they are up there. I'm sure your Vikings were probably a little more affordable, but between the two, the Hackas and the X-Ice, they were probably maybe for the set of 4, maybe anywhere from $50 to $70 difference. So when you're up there in that price, it's negligible. Yeah, no, for the set.
Oh, okay, that's negligible. Yeah. Okay.
Negligible.
Yeah. Okay. Next question: is there a way to put a Tesla into neutral in an emergency braking situation? This is something I do in my ice car to take the torque away from the wheels, which has helped stopping in the snow.
I'd actually want to do that, actually, because the exact opposite thing happens in a Tesla, which is the wheels go into regenerative braking mode, meaning that the car starts slowing down. So the torque is away from the wheels instantly the minute you take your foot off the accelerator, and it's like gearing down in a standard, right? So you don't actually have to use your brakes to slow down. So not sure you'd ever want to do this, because you'd actually be taking away something that would help slow your car down, which is the regenerative braking. So unless I'm misreading the question, is that the way you guys see it?
I think it's exactly the same thing. And the thing I would add is that Teslas have a very impressive traction control stability system. Like, it's beyond nuts, right? Like, I think that with a Tesla, it's just a little bit different, because you're trusting the car, you're trusting the software that it's going to do all the right things. And much like Kevin, I mean, I'm going to my 5th winter with a Tesla, and I've never had a better car in the winter.
Yeah, Paul hit it on the head. That's the difference, Curtis, with a Tesla compared to any other ICE vehicle. The traction control, uncomparable. You cannot compare to any other vehicle or any other ICE vehicle for that matter. It's just instantaneous torque and slippage of each individual tire. It's amazing. You couldn't. I mean, I don't know about you guys when you had your threes. I couldn't get the car to fishtail even if I wanted to, even with the summer tires on.
Yeah. Okay. Brian says that he's also used the X-Ice. They've been good tires for the snow and ice. Noise is not terrible, but certainly louder than stock. So thank you for that, Brian. It's great. And I would encourage everyone in the comment section to chime in with their experiences, because we all learn from each other. And this is the fantastic thing. And one of the things I love about the Tesla community is, we just all come together and ask questions, and there's never a dumb question, and anyone will just happily answer with their experience. So, okay, let's keep moving on. It's our pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hey, any thoughts on how the rear-wheel drive performs in the winter? Yes. Who wants to go first? I'll own rear-wheel drive Model 3s, right?
Yeah, I'll take that one.
Okay.
So I've had the long-range Model 3 rear-wheel drive since June of 2018. So this is my fifth winter. Yeah, I was very nervous, to be honest with you. When we first bought the car, I was very nervous because my experience in the past with gas cars, rear-wheel drive gas cars, was a disaster, right? Like rear-wheel drive cars were death in the wintertime. And I got to tell you, the one thing I always tell people is you won't believe how well this car handles in the snow. And it's hard to actually convince people because everyone's had such a bad experience with gas cars as rear-wheel drive gas cars in the wintertime. I have to almost say, listen, why don't you just drive my car? Because I can't convince them with words.
And he does that.
I know, right?
Like, drive his car.
I just can't convince them with words. And so I would only say, Ben, take a look. There's our friend here, Tesla Canuck, did a really good winter video. Actually, I think he did a couple winter videos with his rear-wheel drive Model 3. So you can see exactly how they handle in deep snow, ice, light snow, wet snow. I mean, it's there. So, but I got to tell you, I don't fret at all about winter in my rear-wheel drive Model 3.
Yeah. So I had the same experience with my rear-wheel drive Model 3. Made a few videos, but one of my very first videos actually was with the Model 3. Must have been the November of 2018. And I tried to spin it out in this video. There's about 6 inches of fresh snow on the ground. I was in a parking lot, and I just could not make that car lose control no matter what I tried. So it's quite good. Dax, anything to add from your experience with your rear-wheel drive Model 3?
No, you guys touched on everything. I mean, I even went as far last year. I think it was last year or the year before. I went to from Toronto to Montreal in a snowstorm where there was like black ice on the highways of Montreal. There was cars in the ditch everywhere. Pickup trucks, all-wheel drive, like just cars everywhere. It looked like a disaster scene, like one of those movies apocalyptic movie, yeah. And just slowed down, had my Michelin X-Ice on, took my time, and I was fine. Like it's like driving an all-wheel drive car.
I can't say it either.
Yeah, I can't say it. But no, it's like driving an all-wheel drive car. So that's why, and that's the only thing I'm accustomed to. So that's why I'm actually very, very curious and intrigued about this winter. This is the first time I've got the all-wheel drive in my Y. So I'm curious to see what the difference is, or even if I'm going to notice a difference.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I'd add just to this discussion is it's really predicated on having those proper winter tires, right? Because I also did another video last year with actually the white Model Y that you see behind me, which is my wife's. And when we got it, there was no winter tires to be found anywhere. This was late November last year, early December. And the first snowfall, I took it out with the all seasons that come with the vehicle, and I'm just all over the place on it. So everything that we just said about the rear wheel drive and it being great in the snow is predicated on having proper winter tires. I just want to throw that in there.
No, definitely. You can't cheap out. I mean, you've spent so much money on a car. Get some good winter tires.
Okay, 100%. Curious if you notice any difference with the heat pump on the Model Y and Model 3. I think of the three of us, I'm the only one that probably has this experience with the heat pump so far, right? Okay, so 100% makes a difference. I've also got some very detailed videos where I've gone through and kind of shown the math on the difference with the heat pumps. But I'd say down to about -11, the heat pump is still effective. And over a Tesla without a heat pump, I'd have to say that you're getting at least 10% more range. The impact's pretty big with the heat pump. At least that was my experience last winter. Hope that answers your question. So Tesla, there's lots of great, it's just not, me or Dax making videos in the wintertime. There's tons of people who are doing it. There's some great YouTubers out there. Search for Tesla winter on YouTube and you'll come across a lot of great videos that really demonstrate and showcase what the Tesla can do. Is the rear wheel drive Tesla better in the winter than an ICE front wheel drive? I would say yes.
Absolutely.
Kevin?
1,000%. I mean, just the balance on the car alone and where the weight is on a Tesla, the battery's down low, all the weight is distributed evenly. It's 1,000 times better.
Yeah. And we've Dax is thinking.
I'm thinking like I don't need to say anything, but every time when I say it, and I know when you guys probably say it yourself, you think to yourself, do people actually believe us? Like, or do they think we're just such Tesla fanboys that we're just making crap up? But it truly is like, there's no need to make it up. It truly is a huge, huge difference than driving an ICE car. And I'm talking about the traction in the winter. It's yeah.
Just make sure you're watching YouTubes with YouTubers that have an honest face like mine.
Yes, exactly. That's why everyone's here listening and watching.
Exactly. Right? Yes. Okay. At any point you need to upgrade your house circuit panel. My current house has 100 amps, but still going with NEMA 1450 in the garage based on my peak usage. But is this something you encountered? Kevin, I think you've encountered this exact thing, so I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yeah, thanks. For the first 2 years that I had my Teslas, I ran one charger off a NEMA 1450 plug. I had a 40 amp aftermarket charger that that had Wi-Fi attached to it, and only 100 amp panel, and it worked fine. I mean, other than me having to use 2 cars with one charger, that was more of an issue. But the 40 amps that I drew on a regular basis never interfered with any, even when you're running everything else, oven, dryer, all that stuff, no issue whatsoever. So,
Dax, any thoughts on that?
No, that's exactly the setup I have right now. 100 amp panel, 40 amp to my charger, and I never have a problem. I only have one EV, but I hope to get a second one in the future. So we'll see how it goes then.
Okay. And I'm sorry, Dax, I keep cutting you off with these big bubbles because the questions are long. Yeah, he's looking over it. We forgot one. We missed one here, so I wanted to make sure we went back to it. I've been a tire contrarian and have used Momo North Pole 2 tires on my 2019 SR Plus. I now have them on my 2021 long range, less than half the price of the big names and amazing performance. I don't have any experience with those particular tires, but I'm all for a good deal.
He's got a lot. Looks like 120,000 kilometers. He's got a lot of experience in driving in the winter, so probably right.
Yeah, no, I know this user. His name is Jeff, and he swears by his Momos, and I trust him. I talk to him on a regular basis, and Jeff's not going to make that up. If he says they're good, they're good.
All right, let's just put that back up for a second for everyone to. So they're Momo North Pole 2. I guess check them out. We've got somebody with 120,000 kilometers of experience. What is that, guys? In like, that's
80.
70,000 miles. Yeah,
80,000. Yeah, 80,000 miles,
80,000 miles.
And it's a 2019. Man, he does a lot of driving. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
He does.
Rear wheel drive in the winter.
Okay, so we're way off the agenda, but this is actually probably better because we just want to make sure we get to all your questions, so keep them coming. And, you know, if there's a momentary pause, we do have some agenda items, and we'll start running through them.
It's very interactive, yeah.
Yeah, I prefer interactive, right? Nobody wants to be a talking head, right? Okay. Do you run into any issues with handles or charge port opening in the winter? If so, any tips to avoid this? Before we get into that, I mean, so some people park their Teslas in the garage in the winter. Some people don't have a garage. Maybe they live in a condo, or they park their car on the street. So this can be an issue when there's an ice storm or sleet or that kind of stuff. I've personally never experienced the issue, so I'll throw it to Dax or Kevin to see if they have.
I'll just start it, and Dax, you probably have a lot more experience. I know that when you precondition the car, the charge port has a defroster, and so so if you precondition the car, most people don't know this. You precondition the car, you're actually thawing out your charge port. So I'm religious at preconditioning, so that's probably why I've never ever had an issue, not even at least a little bit issue. And I do park in the garage, so the door handle question is not one that I have a lot of experience with. I did get ice stormed on once, and I just kind of chipped the ice off, and the doors open fine. So other than that, I've never had any issues in either one of those situations. Dax?
Yeah, no, it's one of these things where my car is predominantly in the winter and all year round. Outside in the driveway. I do have a single car garage. It can fit in. I put it in the odd time. I'd say maybe half a dozen times in the winter I'll put the car into the garage, but for the most part 95% of the life it lives outside. And at the beginning, you got to remember and I think your guys too, my Model 3 when I first got it was one of the very, very early cars. So they weren't, I think the original charge port wasn't designed to thaw and heat up like that. And I remember at one point, this was a common problem for charge port, like the cables getting stuck in there. And Tesla had said at one point, put down the back seats. I don't know if you guys remember that. It said, put down the back seats when you preheat so the hot air can circulate back to the trunk. And it would help and aid in defrosting it. And I find it help a little bit, but I think since then I've had a mobile service guys come and actually change out my charge port to a newer revised version. And I think that's probably what they're using now. And yeah, there's no problems now. Once again, like I said, I haven't had a true winter with my Y, but from all experiences that I've heard from people with Ys and stuff like that, this charge port getting stuck in the actual inlet or outlet is a thing of the past.
Yeah, I think so. The other thing too with the doors is I always tell people, because it did happen to me once, and I even caught it on video, is that it's not a porcelain doll. I just, and the ice broke and the handle,
exactly.
I was able to pull it open. So it's not a porcelain doll. You can give it a little bit of a bang, right, to do that.
Even ice cars their handles will freeze up. So it's not something new to Tesla.
I had a 1991 Mazda RX-7 that you just looked at it in the wintertime and the doors froze. So.
What a lot of people don't know with the Ys, and I don't know, I guess with the new 3s, is the door handle now, if you touch it on the thin part of the door handle as opposed to the thick part where you would normally push in to release the thin part. If you push in the thin part, it actually pushes out a little bit to the thick part. I know I'm describing it and butchering
like
the
a seesaw.
Here. Yeah, like a seesaw. So that the new design that they've done with that since the original Model 3s, that helps break the ice too, and helps dislodge if there's any kind of frozenness going on with the handle.
Okay, next question. The PSI on the winter tires, do you suggest the same as what's printed on the side of the driver door, or should we go lower? So this one here, I'm also going to probably rely on Kevin, the tire guy there. But for me personally, I keep them around 43, 44. I mean, some might argue you don't want to be overinflated in the wintertime because you're going to have less traction. But sometimes, like I live very far away from where I would go into the office if it wasn't COVID, and range was always king for me. So that's why I did it. So, Kevin?
Yeah, so I've got a multi-part answer for you. What I tend to do is I tend to keep it at rated PSI when the tires are brand new, because you have lots and lots of tread. But with each successive winter, I drop it by 2 pounds. So first winter, I think it's 45 on the door, I keep it at 45. Second winter, I go to 43. And third winter, generally I only get 3 winters out of my tires because I drive hard, to say the least. I'm usually around 41, 42 pounds by the third winter, just to compensate for the decrease in the tread. So something that my tire guy told me about a while ago. So it's worked very well for me. Because as you know, as you lower the PSI, you also increase the drag on the tires, and so and thus lowering your range as well. So I just try to maximize my range as much as I can and play that thin safety line, sort of range line, right? So
yeah. This, I think, is a very important point, so I wanted to put it up on the screen. Rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive are the same when you put the brakes on. Winter tires needed for both. Like this is such great advice, because, and I, Kevin, you always say it, and I'm going to steal it from you for this show, is that a lot of people feel that the winter tires help you get going, but it's more important that they help you stop, right? Is that what you did? Did I get that right?
Kind of butchered it, but
kind of butchered it. Okay, you do it.
All-wheel drive helps you go. Snow tires help you stop, right? Your brakes.
I did butcher it.
Yeah. So all-wheel drive is great at getting you going. It doesn't do shit to make you stop. So
yeah. You're welcome, Guru. It's our pleasure. I have a 100 amp circuit with 2 chargers that I do load sharing, no issues. So that just our conversation earlier about the 100 amp. I haven't heard anybody with a 100 amp service say that it's been a problem for them. So, but who knows what people are using electricity for in their house.
Well, that's the big thing. It all depends on what other utilities and appliances you have on it.
All right, we got the troublemaker here, Franklin. He shows up every
Next question. Next question.
Well, American snow is more about like the snowflakes' individual rights. and Canadian snow is all about it's the group rights of the snow. So,
and it's a cheaper snow. It's more affordable snow too.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on.
Thanks, Gary.
So someone's saying that Canadian Tire, if you live in Canada, may carry the, I think, Moms, right?
Mom's Tire.
Moms.
Yeah. Momos.
That's what I thought they would be short form for. Okay. I would like to know more about FSD beta in Canadian winter. If you could speak to that, I'm under NDA. I cannot. Next question. Hey, Dax, you have an early 2018 Model 3, or at least you did. What is your max range charge after a few years? Just recently anyhow, so this question you could probably still answer, right?
Oh, yeah, but I'm trying to remember before I changed to the Y. I'm trying to remember when was the last time I charged it to 100% to utilize that. You know what? I would be lying if I said I knew the answer, but I can tell you I was one of these things. I was the OCD in me. I was very like Kevin was saying at the beginning, I was very regimented with charging specs and stuff like that, and going to 80, going to 90, and very seldom going to 100 and stuff like that. So I did have some degradation throughout the 3 years, but nothing huge at all.
My Model 3, before I traded in, I calculated that it was somewhere between 4 and 5% range loss after, or battery degradation after 3 years. So that's to be expected. If anyone's seen, there's lots of charts out there that show that if there is degradation, it happens quickly and then it just kind of tails off infinitely, from what I can tell with the chart anyways. So it's hopefully that answered your question, Duke.
I was just gonna say, Paul, that I have the early 2018 Model 3 as well, and I think 307. It was like 499 kilometers was our original, which I think is around 300 miles or 307, something like what he was saying. Mine is now with 60, almost 70,000 kilometers, so that's 45,000 miles. 45,000 miles. It's now at I was just doing the calculation. It's now at 290 miles. So I lost about 10 miles or 15 miles range over 45,000 kilometers in what, three and a half years, 4 years. So.
And Franklin's saying on his, he also has, we all got our Model 3s about the same time, right?
Yeah.
Oh, echo. Okay. I can't handle kilometers. That's why we're trying to do the conversion for everybody. Canadian snow is apologetic when compared to America. That is very true.
True.
I'm very sorry that you have snow at all. Actually.
I'm sorry that you're sorry.
I'm sorry. Kevin, you sorry?
I'm half American, so I'm never sorry.
Okay. You're just
which half? Your left half or right half?
Definitely the right.
Does the panel suggest putting Tims in the front during the winter to keep the car happy? Yeah, why not?
Tim's is peasant coffee. It doesn't belong anywhere.
Yeah. Get a Starbucks. Let's keep going. Okay. Deep snow riding. Anyone excited at the possibility of air suspension? Rose said wise or prepared. Do you see a real? I can't say real world, just like I can't say rear drive. Benefit if this could raise 1 or 2 inches, or is the Y good enough in deep snow? Kevin, I know you love the air suspension. Do you want to take a crack at this one?
Yeah, the Y is good. I mean, the Y is, I guess, good enough. I mean, the term good enough, what does that mean, right? It's good. Air suspension is better any way you want to cut it, right? Like, I have a Model X, and the fact that you can raise the thing up, really high in deep snow, it's a total game changer. So, but that being said, it's probably going to add a fair price premium to the vehicle as well. But look, you can afford it. I would 100% say go for it, because the air suspension, and then my new X, I have the adaptive air suspension with the dampening, active dampening. Man, I can't even tell you how good that is. So it allows you to customize the suspension for handling and ride quality to a level that it's just it's amazing. It really is. So.
Hey Mitchell. I love learning about how to live in the Canadian winter, just in case I have to escape another draft. No comment.
Come on
I'm
up,
not touching that one with a 10-foot pole.
Come on over, Mitch.
Yeah, we would love to have you here. So you're always welcome. Okay. Kevin, what do you think of all season tires, I guess?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. I have very, very strong opinions on this. I'm not a fan of all weather tires. I think you get compromised on both sides. I love driving my car, and I drive it hard, both in the summer and the winter, and you can't do either with all season tires. And so I do like also the ability to change over the look of my car. And so I have, you know, 2 sets of wheels, two sets of rims. And so it's a great opportunity to change the look and feel of your car twice a year, right? And so, yeah, it's a little bit more expensive, but when you think about it, you know, whether you drive 100,000 miles on 1 set of tires or 50 on 2 sets of tires, you know, you're still going to drive the same amount of distance on each set of tires. So, you know, I'm not a fan at all, to put it lightly.
I have an opinion. Actually, I have pretty strong opinions as well.
Let's hear it.
The thing about the all seasons, like, don't get me wrong, I mean, they have come a long way in the last 20 years, right? But they still suffer from the fundamental issue where once it drops below, sorry, someone just started the faucet up above me. Hopefully that's not too painful. Once you get below, like, let's say 7 degrees Celsius, double that and add 28, 14, 38, 46 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know. Once you get below that, the rubber starts to harden on the all seasons. Someone's trying to figure out what I tried to do with the math there. The rubber starts getting hard and it just gets worse. And once the rubber gets hard, right, the tire, it's going to take you longer to stop, even if it's just a cold surface and no snow on it or no ice, right? So I just don't think that the all seasons today are good enough if you live in an area that gets a lot of snow. If you live on the right side of the lake up here in the Great Lakes region where you don't get a lot of snow, like, for example, Toronto gets practically no snow, but across the lake, Buffalo just gets hammered, right? So if you live in Buffalo, definitely do not do all seasons, do proper winter tires. If you live in Toronto, well, you got some calculus to do because there might not be many days that you would actually need them truly. So
Colin is making the point. He's saying that all weather are not all season tires. They have the snowflake. They have the snowflake rating. I know. I was like,
okay.
I don't know about you guys, but I've never heard of all weather tires. I would be hard pressed to understand how they would be different from all season.
No, there is a difference, guys. There's the regular all seasons that Tesla sells and most manufacturers sell as what they call all seasons. We truly know it's not an all season tire. But then in the last, I think about 3 or 4 years, a lot of tire manufacturers have come out with this new type of design, not even design. Well, the tread design is a little different, but it's called an all weather. And the compound of the rubber is a different makeup that it lends to both hot and cold. But to Kevin's point, I think the same way. They make it at a mid-range, so they don't make it for really, really good in the summer or really, really good in the winter. They don't have the extremes. So I would say if you're just a regular cautious, I don't want to say cautious because it makes Kevin sound bad, but if you're just a regular driver, like moderate driver, and you don't push your car to the limit, like Kevin was saying he does, then yeah, you might be able to get away with it to some extent.
Okay. So yeah, not ideal, but depends on your circumstances.
I'd still say go with proper winter tires. Yeah.
If you can, that's always my advice. Yep. Right. This person's seeing a message when charging at work, charge rate reduced, unexpected voltage drop. Will this degrade the battery faster? I think I'm going to punt that one to you, Kevin.
Yeah, I saw this at my work as well. It's a problem with actually the charger and not your car. I don't think it matters to your car, because the charger is putting out less power. It is a problem with the charger for sure, because we had it fixed at my work. But no, it's not going to degrade the battery, because your battery is designed to charge within certain parameters, and if the charger falls outside those parameters, the car won't charge. Right? So there's minimum voltage parameters, minimum amperage, and so yeah, they're lowering the charge rate, so it shouldn't damage the battery, or the battery wouldn't accept the charge. So, and I have seen it a bunch of times. I had to put up with it for I don't know, I want to say 2 or 3 months at my work, and it was annoying to the point where I would complain every day until they changed the chargers. And once they changed the chargers, no issue, and it didn't appear to bother my car at all. So.
This next question: when can we see vehicle to grid available on our Teslas? I haven't heard anything about this in a long time. Right? It was supposed to have arrived a while ago, so who knows, right?
I don't think we'll see it. Honestly, I don't think we'll see it.
Oh,
and the reason I think we're not going to see it is because it goes against their Tesla's business model of Powerwalls, right? And so you'd be cannibalizing your Powerwall sales if you allowed the car to go back to back to your home or back to the grid. So I don't see it. I know there's lots of talk about it, but from a financial perspective, it wouldn't make any sense for Tesla to do that unless their hand was forced from a competitive standpoint. And maybe they changed their stance because of that, but honestly, I don't see it because
Ford is doing it with the F-150 Lightning anyways. I've heard Hyundai is going to do it
with their 6.
So it may happen. It won't be soon though.
Well, it seems like I think every manufacturer now that's going to put out an EV is going to probably try to do it. And to Kevin's point, that's exactly it. They don't want to do it. Tesla doesn't want to do it. But if they do ever come around in whatever year that is, it'll be only because of market pressure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay, next question. Do you suggest doing the winter proofing, oil and door handles, silicone, or something similar on windows, rubbers, etc.? If my car always sleeps in a heated indoor garage, I butchered this. I don't even know what grammar or sentences I was reading there. Anyhow,
Poor Perez.
Yeah, Dax, you want to take this one?
Without repeating myself, from a person that has a car that lives outside, for the first 2 years of my Model 3, I did do that. I actually did, and I think I did a video, if I remember correctly. I did a video about using that silicone treatment around the rubber parts of the car and the frameless windows and stuff like that. And I think I noticed a difference myself this year with the Y being a whole new different thing for me, and being 3 years newer. I'm going to try not to do it for this first winter coming up and see if there is any difference.
I never do it.
I've never done it. My car, mostly stays in a garage. It's not a heated garage, of course, but it's in a garage, and I've never done it. And honestly, if my garage was heated, I wouldn't even think about doing it. So
come on, Kev, you got to heat that garage.
Are LFP packs shipping in vehicles sold in Canada, and are owners seeing significant range loss in colder temps when compared to nickel packs?
Curtis has good questions, eh?
Yeah, just keep on our toes here.
So I've heard, Curtis, that every standard range plus car built after November 1 is an LFP pack.
Worldwide, yeah.
Yeah, worldwide. Now, there was a number of reports out of China on significant range loss and performance problems in colder temperatures. Tesla immediately pushed a software fix to the battery, and I haven't heard anything since. So that leads me to believe that the noise went away, and so they probably fixed it. That being said, is there some fundamental difference in LFP packs that they have to compensate for? Maybe I wonder this myself, right? About whether they have to keep the battery pack warmer for LFP packs, meaning your range will suffer in colder temperatures. I don't know. I don't think there's been enough. They haven't been around long enough, honestly, for us, I think, to get a definitive answer on that. But I do wonder about it an awful lot. Because I assume the software that they fixed, that they pushed, was about keeping the battery in a different state, temperature state, to prevent that. So,
I think that's like, I remember this issue came about, like, I think if I remember correctly, it was December of last year or so, right? And then it went away, and in January, February, in the coldest months in the Northern Hemisphere, I just didn't hear any more about the LFP packs and cold weather issues. So it could be that the kinks are ironed out, however they did it. Maybe bigger batteries, but they're keeping them warmer, so the range is, I don't know, somehow compensated in the wintertime. But definitely something to keep an eye on, especially in the Chinese market. This will be the second winter, so we'll see. This is always a good reminder, you know, that we always try to mention, is ice cars lose range as well, right, over the life of the car, and certainly in cold temperatures, headwinds, the physics still apply, right?
Yeah. The other thing I like pointing out about preheating your car is you can't do a gas car in your garage with the door closed, right?
Well, you can, but it's not a good idea.
It's a little bit of a different outcome there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. How does anyone really know the battery degradation? It's the BMS estimation that we see on the display. This is a really good point, because it also takes into account how you drive the vehicle, right? When you see your max range. So I would argue that only Tesla would be able to provide any reasonable estimation, right? No matter what calculation you're trying to do, or the test that Tesla Bjorn does, you never know for sure. And I would challenge Tesla to do something similar to what Apple did and put the battery health, as an app that we could just open on the Tesla screen and get the real information, right? But I don't know if that'll ever happen.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So anyhow, just to summarize again, I'm not sure if it's Vince or Teresa or both, but the other thing is that it does take into account, I'm just going to reiterate this again, how you drive your vehicle. So I don't know. Let us know in the comments if you're a speed demon.
The other thing you Vince and Teresa, you can do is sometimes your the range number that you see is greatly affected because the pack needs balancing, right? And so I know it's less of a thing now, but if you get down to as close to 0 as you can, then charge all the way back up to 100 and then back down again, and then back up to 90. There's been a lot of people who have had their BMS recalibrated because of that. I know Tesla pushed out some software updates to prevent that, but I still see it from time to time, people getting better range numbers because of pack rebalancing. So that might be something you want to try as well.
So in this next question from the troublemaker, how early should you preheat your car in the winter? We wanted to talk about preheating anyways, right? So let's kind of tackle this as a subject. So do you want to just go over, I'll throw this one to Kevin again, just because he's on the right of me. I don't know. I just want to punt to the right. Or is it your left? I don't know. But preconditioning, you're the biggest advocate of preconditioning. So it's probably you do take this question.
I have three scenarios. In my garage with the closed door, 20 minutes. Let me caveat that. On extreme cold days, add 10 minutes to each of these figures, right? So 20 minutes in my garage with the door closed. Outside, cold but no snow, 30-ish minutes. And when it's covered in snow and I don't feel like brushing the car off, I just want everything to melt, 45 minutes.
So Dax, why don't you
Yes.
kind of extend that a little bit and talk to the folks here, especially the new owners. How do you actually do preconditioning?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, Tesla's made it easier in the past little while with putting actual the software in our app to allow us to do preconditioning. Now you can do two ways of preconditioning. You could just turn it on manually in the app. If like Kevin says, you have to basically prepare yourself. It's a planned event. If you're into this type of jumping in a car at the last minute and driving off like my wife does and drives me nuts, then preconditioning is not going to work for you. What you need to do is you have to know, like, if you're leaving the house at 1:30, like Kevin says, maybe at like 10 after 1 or 1 o'clock or even before that, depending on the temperatures, you grab your app, you open it up, and you turn it on. Turn it on for whether it's you need it to whatever temperature you need it. But what it's going to do is going to do one of two things. It's going to preheat the cabin for comfort, but it's also going to preheat the battery pack. And you can do it works wonders for your efficiency. You guys were talking about efficiency earlier in one of the previous questions, or one of the earlier questions. Nothing better to get your efficiency going good than to have a warm battery pack. Nothing worse to kill your efficiency than to drive on a cold battery pack. And we don't even know if that'll harm the pack. I doubt it, because like Kevin says and Paul was saying, the BMS in a Tesla is so precise and so good that I doubt the battery pack will ever get harmed by letting it down too much. But scheduled departure, that's another thing. I did one of my quick videos last week talking about scheduled departure. I think it was great when it first came to the car, and now that they put it with the controls in the app, it's even better. I mean, for any of us, if you're a commuter that you go to work Monday to Friday 9 to 5 and you're leaving your house at 8 o'clock, you just set up the app to know that you're leaving at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you say you want it to 80% or 90%, whatever it is, and whatever temperature you want, you set it and forget it. It's that easy. Tesla, I mean, other than reading your mind, I don't think Tesla could have made it any more simple for us to do. You just set what time you need to leave, and you set what percentage you want the battery to be at, and you wake up in the morning, the car's toasty warm, the battery's nice and preheated, and you've got the range you need. I mean, it's dead simple.
Forget it.
Yeah.
So I learned something, guys. I didn't know if you guys knew this, because I didn't know this, and maybe if you do, I feel dumb. But did you know that the precondition setting is set on GPS? Is set to a GPS. So part of the, yeah. So I did not know that, because I was like, why would they only give me one preconditioning setting, meaning in the morning when I'm at home? I want to set something for in the afternoon when I get in my car to come home. And I was like, there's no other setting. I don't want to mess with my morning setting, and there's only one setting. But if it allows you to set multiple preconditions based on location, right? And I never knew that. I actually stumbled upon that, and so I
that is super cool.
It is great. I'd be very curious to know how many settings you can actually, like, if it maxes out at like a dozen or 20. I'm curious to know. If anyone knows if there's a maximum, comment down below, because I'm curious to know.
Yeah. And the other thing, the question was, how long do you need to preheat? So the preconditioning point is a really good one, because the preconditioning system takes a look at how cold your car is and how cold it is outside, and then starts the conditioning process according to exactly what it needs to be to leave at the time that you specified, right? So you don't have to worry about how long or how much time you need to precondition the battery, because the car will figure it out for you.
And have you guys noticed in one of the latest updates, I don't know if it's the app update or the car itself, now when I'm not talking about scheduled departure or anything, just when you preheat the car, say you set it for 21 Celsius, when it gets to that predetermined whatever you set it at, it'll actually send you a notification. I don't know if it does it in Android, but I know in Kevin's shaking his head, so it must do it in Android. Yeah, it gives you a notification and pops up and says your car is now at the predetermined temperature, which is great. You don't have to go into the app to see if the car is warm yet. It's a little thing, but it's good.
I think this is a good question, because there are parameters that you can tweak, right? So if there's a single software change to improve the winter Tesla experience, what would it be, if any? I think I misread his question. I think he's talking about what feature would improve in the future the Tesla winter driving experience.
Well, I would have said multiple preconditioning.
But you got that now. That's the beauty of the Tesla.
It's already there. So
yeah. Okay. So I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Maybe I'm wondering if you're thinking, like, if there was a button in the settings that we could change over to snow mode, for example, and in that, or even winter mode, and in that setting or that mode, the maybe the mirrors don't fold in. Maybe I don't know, like different things like the wipers don't come on full. Just little things that, you know, if your car is iced up, it doesn't enable. Maybe that's what he's talking about. Maybe the what's it called? The Regen gets loosened down a little bit, not as strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's little tweaks like that could probably be made for sure. I think we talked a lot about the different tires, but this question is maybe slightly different in terms of how do you decide between the different types? Is there anything quantitatively? Like what I do is I just go to the reviews, I read reviews, I do that kind of stuff. Because unless you're a rubber compound expert, I'm not sure how else you would distinguish whether one is better than the other.
I have a real trusted tire guy who basically lives, breathes, and eats and sleeps this stuff. And so, you know, based on you know, his questions to me, which is, you know, what do you value the most, right? Do you value, you know, safety or road noise or tread life, wear, like life, obviously cost, right? And so generally I usually go to my tire guy and say, what's the best bang for the buck, right? Like what gives you the most of all of those features for the least amount of money, right? And so and that's generally how I pick my tires, because I've got a guy that basically has been in the tire business for, you know, 50 years, and you know, he's probably forgotten more about tires than I'll ever know. So that's how the distinctions I look for, right? So
yeah, just want to put this comment because it does help. If we're being helpful at all, you know, by all means, take a moment to hit that like button. It does really help us out. Let's see here. What is the next one? What is this one?
I gotta give it to you, man. You're doing this all by yourself. Usually when I do these, I have a little elf, a little helper that helps me field all the questions in the comments.
Yeah, you know, I'm multitasking.
Good for you.
I'm not sure if there's a question in here, but I know there was recently a bump. Hopefully that makes up for the LFP battery range hit. Yeah, it could be, right?
There was also a weight bump. I read that the new LFP packs got a little heftier, and so to Dax's earlier point, or I think it was yours, Paul, that maybe they added some cells to compensate for the additional heating required for the winter, right? So that the range will improve in the summer, definitely, and you won't take such a range kick in the winter. So it quite possibly could have been you know, additional capacity added.
Quite possibly. Would you guys be interested in bringing your cars to a big parking lot filled with ice to play real life Rocket League? I'm not sure.
Gary, what's Rocket League, Gary?
Yeah, tell us what Rocket League is, and we'll give you our answer.
It sounds like our cars would get damaged, so I'd have to say no. The rocket launchers tend to do damage.
Rocket League.
Okay. Do you guys recommend lowering or turning off regen during winter or especially snowy, icy conditions? I'm reading this and I can already see Kevin go. So why don't you take it then? You obviously feel strongly about this.
Yeah, no, the reason you don't need to turn it down is because one of the things you'll notice when your tires start slipping, when your regen kicks in, your regen actually lowers itself by itself. I don't know if you guys have felt that, right? But when the car starts slipping, the car automatically lowers the regen. So you know, all you would do if you turn down the regen manually is you'd be having to use your brakes more, and in wintry conditions, you don't want to do that.
You lose range too.
Yeah,
right?
and plus, yeah, you're also lowering the efficiency of the car. There's lots of reasons why you don't want to do that, and because Tesla's built the intelligence around the regen to automatically do it for you when the wheels lose traction. So
yeah,
let's just do it. Go ahead.
I was going to add to that. That's probably why Tesla in their newer cars have taken out that regen slider or whatever. But you know what? I'll be the first to, and to be honest, I'll say when I had my car, I did lower it in the winter, and I understand what you're saying, Kevin, and you're exactly right. But for anyone that when they drive in the winter in the snow or ice or anything, and have that unnerving effect or feel that when you're driving, you feel the back end just come out a little bit when you take your foot off the accelerator from it, like sliding, because the regen was a little much. It used to drive my wife next to me in the passenger seat nuts. So I took it off for that reason. I understand that I didn't need to, because yeah, it's not like the regen's going to kick in and you're going to lose control and your back end's going to whip out or anything like that. I understand that, but just that unnerving millisecond feel was enough for me to just turn it off. And it was one of the settings like I did. Like I had a snow setting profile in my car for that reason, when it was heavy snow. You know, that kind of wet, slushy snow that it's very, very slippery. That's what I found. It would slide a lot sometimes. And when I say slide, don't get me wrong. I don't want to sound like a hypocrite when at 25 minutes ago I was saying I can't even get the back end to slide out. It wouldn't slide, but it would just that little micro slip, and you can feel it if you're the driver.
I think what Dax is saying, he's very sensitive. He's a very sensitive guy.
Well, you know that apart from anything I'm saying, you know that, Paul. You know that I've cried many times in your lap.
Yes, yeah. On my shoulder.
Yeah.
There's video.
Yeah.
This next car, I only read the first sentence when I was scrolling through it, but it caught my eye because I know you hate chill mode, Kevin, but I think there's merit here.
Oh, you gotta trigger them
when it's really icy to put on chill mode. So it's like just a little tip, right?
Yeah, so the traction control doesn't have to work as hard. No, he's totally right. Totally right. He may have found the only use case in the history of use cases that I actually might say chill mode deserves to exist.
Yeah, Kevin, not a fan of chill mode. For everyone watching, just so you know. Okay.
Actually, you know, if you want to drive a Volkswagen ID4 or a Ford Mustang Mach-E, their performance modes are chill mode, so you can experience it that way.
Oh, that was bold. Okay. You know, this also was a really good comment, because I remember back in the day, like with the ICE vehicles, where you'd have to wait for the engine to heat up before it could start blowing hot air. And for those of you who are new to Teslas, this is your first winter or you've got one on order, it literally just takes 4 minutes, if that, to heat up the interior of your car. So, or cool it in the summertime.
Can you come over and tell my wife that? Because she doesn't get this whole preconditioning thing.
Okay. I don't know if I can help you with that, but I will try.
Sorry, I'm just venting.
That's okay. Just let it all out, Dax. Okay, we got 2 thumbs up. So Kevin, you have a dog. I think Dax, you have a dog as well. So I have 2 cats, so I can't really answer this question.
Religious user of dog mode. We take our dog literally everywhere. Ask Paul. Every time
it's true.
My dog is with me, so she comes with us everywhere.
She's a sweetheart, by the way.
Dog mode is mandatory 365 days of the year. So no, it's super useful in the wintertime.
Yeah, so it keeps it warm, keeps it cool.
So wait a minute. Let me just see if I understand this right. You leave your dog in the car unattended. Climate aside, just like you don't worry about him or her like scratching the leather or putting their paws up on the dash.
No. My dog will not even jump. So I have a 6-seat Model X with it's got 222, right? The seating.
Yeah.
And the second row has a gap between the hatch when it's folded down and the second row. She will not even jump down in between the seats to go in that hatch. She to leave the hatch. The question here is stopping for an hour or two. Sometimes we've left her in the car for a couple of hours, 2 hours when it's been really cold outside. Or if I let her outside in the backyard and she comes to the door and basically tells me it's too cold, I'll put her in the car for a little bit on dog mode, just so I don't have to clean her paws to bring her in the house. So, I have lots of use of dog mode. So
Oh, okay. So what you're telling me is you have a well-trained dog.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Extraordinarily well trained. She's actually a trained service dog. So.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. What do you guys think of OptiWatt? Loving the show. Well, thank you very much. That's very much appreciated. I'm going to sound like a noob. I don't know what OptiWatt is.
Where did I hear that? I heard that term. Hold on. I got to Google it because it does sound familiar to me.
Okay, you Google it and we'll come back to it. Okay. Okay, we've got a be careful when preconditioning setting, though. I left my car at work, went away on a trip, came back, and had gone from 70% to 20% in 5 days, as it was preconditioned every day at 5 p.m. So that I didn't think about that myself. So interesting, right? I guess I haven't been at the airport in 2 years. So what do you guys think?
Sorry, I was Googling OptiWatt.
Oh, I think you both were.
So was I. It looks like a tracking app that allows you to maximize your charging by price time.
Oh, I have heard of that. Yeah,
some people swear by it too.
Rate. Yeah. So I got in on a flat rate scheme that the government was doing during COVID, and so it's fantastic because the rate was really good, and now I can like charge anytime I want. It's
during COVID.
Yeah, it was during COVID. They had this thing, and then they kept it. So,
I didn't know that.
Was it contract?
What's that? So,
was it a fixed price contract?
No, it's not a contract. It was like directly with the energy company.
Was it with the provincial government or is it your municipal hydro?
I don't know. Power Stream, whatever that is. I don't know.
Okay, so we don't get that.
It wasn't a contract. Nobody came by my house and said sign this. So.
Okay, yeah,
and I can change it anytime I want. So
that's pretty good.
Okay, but yeah, if you do have flat rate, it's really cool because you don't have to worry about all that stuff. Tesla says to plug the car.
Just going back to the previous thing. Now that you can control that by the not the OptiWatt, the gentleman who left his car at the airport. Now that you can change it, your scheduled preconditioning on the app, that hopefully won't happen anymore. But yeah, that's a little bit of a oops.
When Sentry mode first came out and it was really sucking the juice, I went on way on business for 5 days. I came back. I think it was down like 20%. I think it shuts off automatically at 20%, right? And it's like. Yeah, sometimes you got to think about that when you're traveling, and this is another thing now that I'll be thinking about too. So, okay, next one. So Tesla says to plug the car in every day, but it doesn't seem to try to keep the car LOC. I'm terrible with acronyms. After it got to the set level.
I think what it means is so when you plug in the car and you set it to 80%, even though the car's plugged in, if you let it sit for a couple of days, it'll continue to drop. So it'll go to 78 or 77 and won't top up. Like even though it's plugged in, it won't top itself up. Is basically I think what he's saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it will top itself up if it gets too drastic of a change. But you're right. If you're OCD and you want to be 80 all the time, like Kevin says, it'll drop up 2 or 3 or 4 percentages range before it actually starts to kick back in and charge up.
Okay. Who wants to take this one?
Hold on, I'm reading this again.
Okay, next question. Let's see here. Someone else likes dog mode. Yes, it's a great feature. Okay, we kind of scrolled the end of the list. Let's just take a look at what we had originally on our agenda just to make sure we didn't miss anything important. We talked about winter tires. We talked about precondition, scheduling, regen. We talked a little bit about range. supercharging. We didn't talk about supercharging. Is there anything different in the wintertime that people should know about supercharging?
Yeah, I think one of the things it's like preconditioning. If your battery is not, if you've ever tried to go to a supercharger with a cold battery, you know that it's going to be painful, right? You're going to look around and go, how come I'm not getting a very fast charge? So my rule of thumb, I think, is around 20 minutes in the summertime. Like you have to give the car at least 20 minutes notice to have the battery at what I call optimum, like the max supercharging rate that you're going to get for any whatever percentage. I think that probably goes to 30 or 35 minutes in the wintertime before you get the optimal rate, just because you got to account for that extra preheat time that the battery needs to precondition itself for supercharging. So that's a good call out. I totally forgot about that one.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Dax, anything to add to that?
No, I was just going to say the car actually now with the preconditioning, it'll start doing it once you've set that destination for a supercharger. It'll kick in when it needs to kick in and does the calculations on the fly.
Yeah, I was just saying, Dax, that if you're like 10 minutes away from a supercharger,
then yeah,
and then you just said I'm going to the supercharger 10 minutes away, your car probably won't be ready for supercharging in the wintertime.
No, you'll suffer. Yeah,
with that little time, right? But yeah, I agree. If you're going to go to a supercharger, tell the car as soon as possible to allow it to figure out when it needs to kick in the warming.
Oh yeah, and it will take longer. Be prepared for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot all about that. It does take longer if you're not fully preconditioned. So keep a shovel in your car. So if you get a supercharger and it's plowed in, this has actually happened to me.
Oh yeah.
So this is a real thing. It can happen. They do a great job, by the way, of plowing the superchargers in general. It hasn't happened to me very often, but it has happened. So this is really good advice.
I've seen some pictures that they do a good job. The snowplow guys plowing the superchargers and just like nailing them into the snowbank.
There's a picture last year about that, wasn't there?
Just terrible.
It's on Twitter. Yeah. Okay. I forgot about that. I don't think a shovel is going to help you if that happens. You need a backhoe. Okay. Let's take a look. There was something else here that we had as a topic, so I'm going to throw this up for discussion too. So radar and camera care. I know the newer cars don't have the radar, although does the Model X and S still have radar? The newer ones? I think they do.
They were supposed to, yeah.
Okay. So it's still relevant anyways then. So Kevin, we were talking earlier about this. I know that you had some ideas.
Yeah, there's a spray out there that Tesla recommends called Neverwet. It's actually a two-step spray, and you're not supposed to use the base spray. I think you have to look it up, but there's two. I actually made the mistake and I used the wrong one, and it was really hard to get off. So basically, what it is it's a hydrophobic spray that you can spray a base coat on, and then the water dispersing properties goes on second, and it sticks to that base. And so, if you want water to roll off of stuff, it's Tesla recommends it, the step 2 part of it, to spray the front of your Tesla so that when you have cold, wet, freezing rain or snow, it doesn't stick to the front of your car. And because anyone who knows, if you've got radar, you know that ice buildup or snow buildup on front severely affects the radar's ability, and you'll get all kinds of error messages. And so this spray, once every few weeks, or after you go through a couple of different car washes, sprayed on the front of your car does wonders of keeping the frozen slush and sleet and ice off the front of your radar unit. So,
and I wanted to touch on the cameras just briefly because new Tesla owners might not be aware of this, but the cameras are actually heated, right? So if your car is covered in snow, and I don't think it has to be preconditioning. I think it just is. They're just heated, right? Or is it only when you're preconditioning? Because I've seen those pictures where it melts just like right at the cameras.
Yeah, no, there's no setting, no on switch. It just does it itself.
It just does it itself. Yeah. So that's not something really to be concerned about. But the road salt is, right? So if you're new to Tesla and you live in an area that uses a lot of road salt, what happens is that your rear camera and sometimes the side ones just get caked with salt. And yeah, I'm not sure what the remedy of that is. Maybe some Rain-X, perhaps, on the cameras.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Good old-fashioned finger.
Hard to do when you're going 120 kilometers an hour down the highway. But yeah.
Paul,
Yes.
speaking of that, you came from the 3 like I did, and now you have the Y. Have you noticed, and I know we haven't hit winter yet, and this may all be out the window, our first snowy, salty drive, but have you noticed on the Y, the side repeater cameras seem to get less dirty than the 3 did? Like it could be raining, and when I say dirty, I mean in terms of getting wet too, like in a rainstorm when you're driving down and it's raining, and you look in the back camera and you can see the back camera, it's got like water spots, and you can see it's like all blurry and stuff like that. But I found on the Y, the side repeaters, they're crystal clear, like they're as if they're being shielded or something because they stick out more or anything.
A couple of years ago, I want to say maybe it was a tweet or something, but there's something about a nano coating that was being talked about, right? So maybe there's some kind of nano coating that Tesla's come up with, and they've put them on the repeaters. I haven't noticed myself, but we won't really know until the salt, right? But I'll keep an eye out for that because I did hear something about a nano coating. So.
Yeah, maybe. But Jay, next time, even before the snowfall, next time it's raining out, put on your backup camera if you've got the 3 camera view, and compare the back camera compared to the repeaters, and tell me if you notice the difference.
Yep. Okay, I will definitely do that. Best way to get extra range in the winter is long johns and a good blanket. There's definitely merit to this. If you find yourself in a position where you do need to stretch your range, lowering your heat, using the seat warmers instead. There's all sorts of things that you can do in a pinch to get a little extra range out of the vehicle. So I wanted to put this comment up there. I think it's important.
Yeah, in a pinch, an emergency situation, nothing wrong with that. But you know what? Like I said, when I first got my first EV, it was around the popularity of the Nissan Leaf, and I was in a lot of Leaf forums and stuff like that, and people talked about that, getting like plug-in blankets and wearing all these layers and everything. And I remember saying to myself, listen, if we've got to go to this much trouble to drive a car, it's just not worth it. If this is what electric vehicles are going to be like in the future, and thank God it wasn't that. I'm talking 5-6 years ago. Or actually probably 7 years ago. Thank God it didn't turn into that, because I was thinking to myself, if this is where we're going, this is the road we're going down, then no, I'm not going to sacrifice comfort for to squeeze out an extra 10, 15 kilometers of range.
Yeah. I think that's definitely why it's a worst case scenario thing. And what I wanted to kind of come across as an idea is that you have levers that you can pull, right, with an EV to, if you really needed to, extend your range, like slowing down. That's the biggest one that you can do.
Oh yeah,
right.
Kevin's shaking his head no.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, slowing down is the absolute best way to extend your range, right? Like turning your thermostat from 20 down to 10 or something like that, it's stupid, is that's not going to save you anything. I mean, it'll save you, but like to your point, Dax, it's going to be a few kilometers. If you really want to be serious about extending your range, instead of going 120, go 105, right? And you'll see a massive range boost. You'll see especially in the wintertime, right? And if there's headwinds, like it's an exponential thing, right? And so slowing down is by far the best way to do it. The other thing is your car is going to tell you how far you can go. So if you are relying on the heater to get you more range, then you're going against what the car is telling you, which is very unwise, right? Like I would say that if your car says you can't go there, you probably shouldn't go there, you know? And so, and not have to crank the temperature down to, 5 degrees Celsius and drive 40 kilometers an hour in a 100 kilometer an hour zone, right? So just a thought.
And it might have been more important a few years ago, right? But now with the supercharger network, I mean, it's basically everywhere, right? It's way less of a concern, right? But yeah, the biggest lever you can pull is your speed. So, okay, let's move on to the next question. Do you recommend rust-proofing Teslas? I've never done it. I think it's an old school thing, like back many years ago when cars used to rust. Like, I'm just not sure it's a problem. And I don't even think Tesla recommends this last time I looked into it.
Well, do not drill any holes in your Tesla.
Yeah, no, the S and the X are all aluminum, so they're not going to rust. And a huge percentage of the 3 and the Y, they do have some steel components, unlike the other cars. They do have some steel components, but still heavily aluminum. And so there are very few things that can rust on your Tesla. And, just rely on the factory rust coating that comes on those steel components, right? So,
like Paul says, people traditionally have bought ICE cars over generations, and they've seen their parents do the same thing, and they're always get into the habit of rust proofing every 2-3 years. So they just think automatically their new car, they have to do it.
Yeah. Noah says it actually voids your warranty. I did read that somewhere, actually.
Well, you're drilling holes in your car. Why wouldn't it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. So
there's a good chance any hole you drill in that Tesla, you're going to hit a wire.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I think we're going to...
Oh, time for Q&A?
Well, yeah, we've been doing Q&A the whole thing, but it was the last item on the agenda, so I just put it up there. That's awesome. Let's throw it out to the viewers there. If you have any more questions, throw them in there now. If not,
there's a question there about.
Did I miss one?
Well, there's a bunch, I think, but there's one in there that says thoughts on Elon Musk announcing that he's selling Tesla in 2022. That's a bit of a stretch. What he actually said was he was going to sell about 10% of Tesla stock, and that is a direct response to people saying that rich people don't pay taxes, and so he wants to pay taxes. And so, unfortunately, if you don't know anything about the way that capital gains work, is he's rich on paper, meaning he owns a lot of shares, but he doesn't actually get to use any of that money unless he actually sells the shares, and that's when you pay income tax, right, on the capital gains. And there's a bunch of ridiculous notions out there saying that you should be taxed on the value of your investments, even though you haven't actually cashed them out. So I'm not even sure how that would work.
And they could decline in value.
Yeah, how would that even work?
Can you imagine if they were to do that?
Like, are you going to pay tax every day, or are you going to get a rebate every day when
when it goes down?
Yeah, it's the whole notion is ridiculous. But anyways, that question comes from Elon saying he was going to liquidate about 10% of his shareholdings in 2022, or potentially doing that to pay taxes to basically shut people up, I think, right? So
now,
well, it didn't shut people up.
Raise this.
Yeah. Sorry,
I knew this was coming, and Noah was going to raise this. He wants to know how many more winters till I get FSD beta. I am on Elon's naughty list. I'm pretty sure of that. Oh yeah.
Why do you say that?
I think Paul.
I gave him a hard time about it.
I think Paul is bullshitting this. I think he's already got it, and he's under an NDA, and so he's pretending like he doesn't have it. And so,
really, Paul?
I think
son of a.
I think he's got it.
I cannot say. What are we talking about?
God knows they would never give it to me with that scoring system they've got. So for sure.
Can the safety score go into the negatives?
Negatives. Well, if it can, I will get it.
Well, on the topic of safety scores, I hope by the time we get it in Canada, and I can't answer your question, no, I hope the safety score thing won't be an issue by then, because I don't think it's a good system.
I don't think you'd pass either.
No, absolutely not.
I don't understand how too many G's when you take a turn is a bad thing. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Any plans to make a trip to Giga Austin for a tour? 100%.
Yeah, we're leaving tomorrow, Curtis. Didn't you get the memo?
Yeah. We're going to go down in a caravan. Like, it's just going to be like a ton of Teslas going down there.
All getting our PCR tests when we come back.
Exactly. If we still need them. But
hopefully we don't. We're not kidding. We're kidding. We're not going. But it's a cool idea.
We're going.
Yeah, no, we're not going tomorrow. I mean,
no, we're not going tomorrow, but we are going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Paul, I'm going to do a shameless plug for your other YouTube video. Anyone wants to know how to change the color of your Tesla? The background is my Model X that we just wrapped. Yeah, right here, over here. Yeah. Paul did a great video on the process to get it wrapped, so you guys should check it out.
Yeah. But then I had to change the name of that video though, Kevin, because it's like if you don't do something that is at least borderline clickbait, it doesn't get picked up in YouTube's algorithm. So,
and now
not a lot of people have seen that video. But it is a good video if people want to watch it, because you can easily change the color of your Tesla, and it looks amazing, and it doesn't cost as much as you think it would cost. So, hopefully people watch the video.
I had lots of people wanting to watch that video just to see my dog.
Because in the video, Kevin's dog keeps making an appearance, and it's like she's the sweetest dog, but she's huge too, right? She's a big dog.
Is huge. What did I say? What was my comment the first time I saw the dog walk by?
You said there's a wolf, or you keep seeing a wolf.
Coyote. He's like
coyote.
A coyote just walked in the frame of the video.
Yeah.
Beautiful dog.
I like this question because yes, I have bought it. I bought the performance boost for the Model Y, not my wife's. She keeps hers on chill. So I did it for my Model Y, and I love it. I am so happy I did it. And very few things in this life will actually put a smile on your face. But the first time I did performance boost and I captured on camera, it legit made me smile from ear to ear. 100% worth the money if you can spare it.
I thought I broke Paul's smile though.
Yes, you outdid me. You outdid me.
We did a cheetah launch in the Performance X, and he was just like,
I couldn't believe it. Like, okay, so with the performance boost in the Model Y, right? What does it get down to? Something like 3.9 seconds, right? 0 to 60, something like that, right? So I thought, wow, that's pretty fast. I can't imagine, something feeling faster than that, until I went with Kevin and we did the cheetah launch, and I screamed like a baby. I won't admit it. I will admit it.
And you notice the difference, eh?
Unbelievable. Absolutely. Wow. I can't imagine what the Plaid is going to be like.
I can't even wrap my head around what the Plaid must be like, because if it's more than what I've got, I can't.
Yeah. What is yours like? 2.9 seconds, Kevin?
Yeah, something like that.
And the Plaid. Okay.
What's the Plaid supposed to be?
1.99?
We'll see 1.9 with the 1 foot roll, with the 2 foot roll. Or something.
But what's the Plaid X supposed to be?
The X Plaid?
Yeah.
Something like 2.1 or something, 2.2.
Jesus Christ. Wow.
It's really an experience. If anyone ever gives you an opportunity to go for a ride in a Plaid or a Model X Raven, in Kevin's case, absolutely accept it and enjoy. It's unlike anything else that you can feel. Like,
it's hard to put.
I don't know.
It's hard to put
in words. I'm struggling. Right. Now we've got another question coming in. Let's keep going. Okay. Does it take longer to charge in cold temperatures? Yes, it does. If your battery is cold, if your battery's cold, it takes longer. If you precondition before you get to the supercharger, then it's
so supercharging for sure it does. But for regular charging, most often your battery would have to be really, really cold to pull back on 40 amps, right? Or 40
It'll be negligible,
Yeah, I interpret it as supercharging, but you're right. If you're just charging home, it's not gonna be any different. Oh, hello from Montreal. Do you preheat? 100%.
religiously.
Yeah.
Yes.
It makes a huge difference, and it's easy to do. Why wouldn't you do it? Right. It's
set it and forget it in the app.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. We've been at it for 90 minutes. When this video gets posted, when the live video gets posted, I'll be sure to check the comments section. So if we miss something here, please, by all means, go back into the video. It takes a couple of hours for it to process, but then you can leave a comment, and happy to answer your questions. So before we go, let me turn it over to Dax first. Dax, where can people find you? Give yourself a shameless plug.
Oh, I hate doing this. Franklin usually does this for me. Tesla Talks on a YouTube channel. It's actually, my channel is Tesla Talks, but to find me, you'd have to search for DaxM on YouTube. And then I run some, can I say the F word here? Can I say Facebook?
Facebook. Yeah. You can say Facebook.
Yeah, I organize and run a few Tesla Model Y, Model 3, and Cybertruck Canadian Facebook groups. If you want any kind of information and stuff like that, you're a Facebook user, join the group if you haven't. We talk about everything about the cars and stuff like that, but we do it in a Canadian eccentric type of twist to it. But enough about me. I just want to take the time before we go. I know you're wrapping up now, Paul, to thank you, Paul, for doing this. This is so important. When you said you were going to do a live video like this with Q&A and little topics like that, and you asked me if I could contribute, I said, well, probably I can't contribute to anything, but I'll come on anyways. But no, thank you for doing this, because there are so many new Tesla owners out there, new to Tesla
from last year.
Exactly. And like new to EVs in general. So this, whether they saw this live and participated live on it, or they see this video after it's posted, like you're saying, this is invaluable. So and the questions we got asked were perfect questions. So thanks for doing this, buddy.
Good. We didn't even have to do the agenda because people just led us through it.
Oh yeah.
Kevin, you are the most knowledgeable Tesla person I know without a YouTube channel. So,
well, thanks. I just prefer to ride your coattails. You're the Dax coattails. I love doing it. Thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it. I do want to blow your American friends' minds away by explaining to them that the price of gas is being forecasted here in Toronto to hit $2 a liter in December. And so for our American friends, that is close to $8. Yes, $8 a gallon of gas. So probably our American friends are saying, why does anybody have a gas car in Canada? So I completely agree with you if you're thinking that. So
yeah,
thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
All right, thanks for joining me, and thank you everybody for leaving comments, and love spending time with you as always. Tesla, Canuck, and the gang. Let's do it. You ready? Over and out. Bye, everybody.
See ya.